First Contact Café. The night was unnaturally still as the neon sign of the First Contact Café flickered to life, casting an eerie glow across the quiet street. Inside, Leah adjusted the last chair, her heart racing with the rumor that tonight, the café might host its first non-human visitor. Leah always believed in making everyone feel welcome at her café, but tonight's buzz was different. Since the interstellar portal had opened a few blocks away, the whole town whispered about potential alien visits. Her café, being the closest to the portal, became the unofficial meeting spot for any extraterrestrial tourist who might be curious about Earth's culture or its coffee. As the clock struck midnight, a soft chime signaled the door opening. A figure stepped in, not quite what Leah had expected. He was tall and slender, with skin shimmering under the café's warm lights, like the surface of a watery moon. His eyes, large and luminous, scanned the room curiously. "Welcome to First Contact Café. What can I get for you?" Leah asked, her voice steady despite the thumping of her heart. "I am called Zorax," the figure spoke, his voice a harmonious blend of chimes and whispers. "I would learn of your coffee." Leah smiled, guiding him to a seat at the bar. "You've come to the right place. Coffee is one of Earth's proudest creations." As she prepared a simple espresso, explaining each step of the process, Zorax watched intently, his head tilting occasionally in what Leah assumed was his way of nodding. When she handed him the small cup, his thin fingers wrapped around it with surprising gentleness. The door chimed again, and in walked Milo, the café's oldest regular. His eyes narrowed under bushy eyebrows as he took in the sight of Zorax. Leah held her breath. Milo was known for his lack of filter and brash opinions. "What in the world is that?" Milo grumbled, settling onto his usual stool. "That," Leah replied, "is our first guest from beyond the stars. Zorax, this is Milo. Milo, Zorax is here to learn about us, and hopefully, we can learn about him too." Zorax extended a hand, a human gesture he must have learned before his visit. Milo looked at it, then at Zorax, and after a tense moment, shook it. "Well, any friend of coffee is a friend of mine, I suppose." The night continued with Leah orchestrating what felt like a delicate dance of cultures. Zorax shared tales of his home world, Glies, a planet where seas were as common as land and people communicated with colors as well as sounds. Milo listened, his initial skepticism fading as the stories grew more fascinating. Suddenly, the lights flickered, casting shadows around the café. A low hum filled the air, and Zorax stood abruptly, his eyes widening in what Leah guessed was fear. "What's happening?" she asked, moving closer to him. "It is a signal," Zorax explained, "from my world. It means I must return immediately. But there is a problem." "What kind of problem?" Leah's voice was thick with concern, not just for Zorax, but for the bridge between their worlds that seemed so fragile now. "There is an entity, lost here, that seeks to return through the portal. It does not understand your world. It is dangerous." Milo stood, clutching his cane. "And you need to find it before it causes trouble?" Zorax nodded. "I require assistance. Will you help me?" Leah exchanged a glance with Milo. The old man huffed, a smile breaking through his gruff exterior. "Let's help our new friend, then." The trio set out into the night, following the hum that only Zorax could hear. The streets were empty, the town asleep, unaware of the drama unfolding in its midst. Leah felt the weight of their mission. It was not just about helping a visitor but about ensuring the safety of both their communities. As they neared the portal, the air thickened, the hum growing into a cacophony. Shadows moved independently of their sources, and the ground felt alive under Leah's feet. "There." Zorax pointed towards a shifting shape near the portal, its form unclear but its intent unmistakably hostile. "What do we do?" Leah's voice trembled. "We need to communicate," Zorax said, stepping forward. "It does not understand your language, your reality. It fears you as you might fear it." Milo handed his cane to Leah, moving next to Zorax. "Then let's show it there's nothing to be afraid of." Together, they approached the entity, their hands outstretched, their intentions clear. The creature paused, its form stabilizing as Zorax sang a melody of colors and lights. Slowly, the entity responded, its own colors brightening, blending with Zorax's. After what seemed like an eternity, the creature moved towards the portal, its form dissipating into the night air, leaving behind a calm that settled over the town like a comforting blanket. As they walked back to the café, the first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of pink and orange. They were silent, each lost in thought about the night's events. Back at the café, Leah brewed another round of coffee, stronger this time. They sat together, three species united by a common goal, sipping their drinks as the sun rose. "So, Zorax," Milo said, breaking the silence, "tell us more about these colors you speak with. I think I could use some of that back home." Zorax smiled, and Leah laughed, her heart lighter than it had been in hours. As the morning wore on, the café filled with light, both from the sun and from the renewed sense of camaraderie between the trio. Leah decided to seize the moment to deepen their understanding of each other. "Zorax," she started, refilling their coffee cups, "you mentioned your people communicate with colors. Could you show us how that works?" Zorax nodded, his face illuminating with a spectrum of soft glows. "It is our way to express feelings and thoughts more vividly," he explained. He reached out his hand, and a subtle wave of blue hues emanated from his palm. "This color represents calm and understanding in our culture." Milo watched, fascinated. "And what about something more fiery? Like anger or passion?" A flush of reds and oranges flickered across Zorax's skin. "These are the colors of strong emotions," he replied. The display was not only beautiful but also deeply expressive, conveying emotions in a way words never could. Leah, inspired by the visual language, proposed an idea. "What if we host a cultural exchange right here in the café? You could teach us about your communication methods, and we could share some human expressions, music, art, maybe even dance." Zorax agreed eagerly, excited to share more of his culture and learn about theirs. Plans were made, and the café was soon buzzing not only with its regular customers but also with visitors from other parts of the city and even from around the globe, curious about the new interstellar relations forming in their little town. Meanwhile, the entity that had caused the commotion the night before had left a lingering question in their minds. Leah couldn't help but ponder the implications of their encounter. "Zorax, the entity that came through the portal last night, do you think there will be more like it?" "It is possible," Zorax conceded. "The portal's opening is still new, and both our worlds are adjusting to the changes it brings. More entities might stray through as they explore this new connection." Milo tapped his fingers on the counter, deep in thought. "Then we'll need a plan to handle future visits, both friendly and not so friendly." They discussed strategies, deciding to set up a volunteer group with Leah at the helm, tasked with welcoming and, if necessary, safely guiding any more lost entities. Zorax offered technologies from his world to assist, promising to teach a select group how to use color communications as a peaceful means of interaction. The cultural exchange grew into a festival, celebrating both Earth and Gly's cultures. Art installations, food stalls, and live performances filled the streets around the café, turning the area into a vibrant hub of intercultural dialogue. Zorax's demonstrations of color communication were a highlight, drawing crowds eager to witness the blend of human and alien artistry. As the festival drew to a close, the community had grown closer, and the initial fear of the unknown had transformed into curiosity and excitement for the future. Leah, Milo, and Zorax stood together, watching families, children, and visitors mingling, laughing, and sharing stories under the strings of lights that crisscrossed above the café. Milo, who had been a skeptic from the start, turned to Leah and Zorax, a broad smile spreading across his face. "You know, I never thought I'd say this, but I reckon this alien business might just be the best thing that's happened to our little town." Leah laughed, her eyes twinkling with tears of joy. "It's the best thing that's happened to all of us, Milo. Look at this community, it's not just about being human or Glesian anymore. It's about being together." Zorax nodded, his skin shimmering with a gentle spectrum of joyful colors. "And to think, it all started with a simple cup of coffee." As they cleaned up after the festival, making plans for the next event, the First Contact Café stood as a beacon of unity and understanding, a place where two worlds met not with fear, but with open arms. As the last of the patrons left and the night settled in, Leah locked the door of the café, turning to her friends. So, what's next for us? Milo chuckled, leaning on his cane. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. After all, we're pretty good at this first contact stuff now. They shared a laugh, the sound mingling with the night air, a perfect blend of human and alien harmony. The end.